Hey everybody.
Greetings from the barn roastery behind us. So I'm here with Gareth, our head roaster. I'm Ralph, and we are in the Annex Cafe next to our roastery in Berlin. And we want to introduce our masterpiece subscription coffee for September, which will be roasted next week. And it is the absolutely fantastic and amazing Obraje washed geisha Cup of Excellence winner a couple of years ago in Colombia, and we are connecting to Colombia in a moment. Who are we waiting for?
We're waiting for Diego, the manager of El Obraje. Unfortunately, Pablo, the producer, won't be attending today. But we've got Diego coming along, and we've got also Bram from LA Coffee Partners who have helped us source this amazing coffee.
Yes, I think Bram is coming online in a second if we can get the connection.
Hey Garrett and Walt. Obraje is a beautiful farm where you can do a lot of mountain biking.
Can you give us a quick agenda what we want to talk about?
There's a lot to talk about El Obraje. It goes from the history of the farm, how Pablo started to grow coffee there, to the geisha lot specifically, the one in the Cup of Excellence, the processing, the altitude. I think there's so much to talk about. We can hit it up whenever you guys are ready. We can wait for Pablo to talk about it, and any questions you guys have, we're more than happy to answer as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Shall we just shoot, and then whenever he joins, we can switch the topic? Yeah. What's most on your heart to find out?
I guess I would just like to hear a general overview on your experience in Colombia at the moment, Bram. Where are you right now, and what are your observations?
Yeah, so I'm in Bogota right now. So this was a nice coincidence to actually be in Colombia whilst we do this call. And I've been here all week at our office with Ally meeting with our producing partners. Colombia right now has been suffering from rain for almost 2 years already. So it's the La Niña phenomena that continues to impact production a lot. So the excessive rain makes it harder for coffee to ripen evenly, and it makes it harder to pick, makes it harder to process. So the consistency of the coffee it's much harder to get to that level. And by producing especially coffee in really high quality lots, so that selection needs to be even harsher nowadays. So that means that relatively more coffee is lost in the process, and that makes coffee then more expensive, of course, because if you put in the same cost to produce less coffee, that makes the coffee more expensive.
Yes. So we've got Diego.
Yeah, that goes back well over 100 years, I would say, of that farm being in Pablo's family.
Pablo es la cuarta generación, pero es la primera de cafeteros.
Yeah, so the farm has been for 4 generations, but Pablo is the first generation of coffee farming first, and then it used to be an apple farm, and then it changed to coffee 22 years ago now.
Ok, la tienda principalmente,
Ya lo van a...
ok, el obraje principalmente se dedicaba al cultivo de cebada y trigo, ¿sí? Pero con la apertura económica, pues en Colombia este cultivo ya no fue sostenible. Posteriormente se dedicaron al cultivo de frutales como duraznos y manzanas, pero también el manejo post cosecha, las intermediaciones, los tiempos de recolección, pues tampoco fueron sostenibles de este cultivo. Entonces se incursionó en el café.
Okay. Looks like Pablo Andres is also trying to join the live blend and single varieties to.
Good morning.
Buenos días, Pablo.
Are you better?
Well, I'm trying to get better. Yeah, the surgery was okay, but it's a little painful after. So I have to be like without movement.
Yeah, thank you for joining, Pablo. It's an honor to have your coffee as our next masterpiece offering for September. I've got to say that this particular coffee really it's one of my favorite
Celsius. So I think that changes of temperatures it is a little painful. We prefer.
far actually. It's pretty rare that you find legitimate 90-point coffees. A lot of the times people will say it's 90 points, but this is really, I scored at 90.5.
Oh,
It's in the top three of coffees that I've cupped this year. So very excited to have the opportunity to have this washed geisha as our masterpiece coffee for September.
oh, it's very nice to hear you say that. We're working in producing nice coffee. I was listening a little ago when Diego told you that we started at the 2010 producing geisha, and since then and now we are trying to improve. I always prefer the washed coffee than natural or other products, but we offer natural or others too. But I agree with you. The wash is the best for me too. Is very nice.
Can you tell us a little bit about what makes the wash so special, and how you can achieve such fruity notes from your washed coffee?
Well, I think it depends a lot of the region of we are placed on, and the weather is kind of very special. The altitude, we are in 2,200 meters above the sea level, and a little closer to Ecuador. So I think the temperature helps, and during the day the temperature gets warm, close to 26 Celsius, but at night, every night, it drops to 7 or 8 Celsius. So I think that changes of temperatures makes the coffee a little more dense, maybe, and that helps the coffee, how the coffee comes out. And after the harvest, we take a lot of control of the process, picking off just the very mature cherries, and take care of the fermentation process very closely. I think that's what is happening, but I think it's mostly because of the area where we are placed on.
Hey, are you removing the cherries straight away after the picking on the same day at a certain time, or do you give a little bit more time resting the cherries?
No, we let the cherries rest for the day. We pick the cherries today, and we just depot the cherries the day after. And then we let the beans rest for another day in tanks for fermentation. So they have like two different kinds of fermentations.
Nice.
So Diego said that you have around 25% of the plantation in geisha.
Yes, well, we are increasing a little. We started with a very small quantity of geisha. When we started with geisha, we just planted 2,000 trees because we are afraid that it was too high for geisha. And at the beginning, we were kind of worried because the trees took too long to grow up, and compared with trees that were planted at Huesaco, for instance. So we thought that it wouldn't work. But after the fourth year, the trees started to come to work and came out with a good product. So we decided to increase the production, and we have been planting geisha, not a big quantities, but we have increasing a little because we have to try another varieties too, to be able to offer not just geishas, but a different kind of coffees in nanolots perhaps, and with very special or particular conditions.
Cool. So tell me, how do you go about putting together this lot that you've put together for us? this small 75 kilo lot that we have. How did you decide which cherries to contribute to that?
Well, actually, what we are trying to, what we have learned is that we have to pick all the cherries that are over red, is like purple red, and we have a very good flotation selection to just take or select the cherry that are very heavy, that have good density, and after that, now we are trying to use steel tanks. We normally use brick tanks to fermentate the cherries. Now we are starting using steel tanks. That is a small quantity of cherries. Let us have a more control of the fermentation, and produces small lots of coffee, but it's better for us to keep a track of how the quality is coming out. So Diego is working in that very closely now, and that helps us to have a product that is agrees with what we want to produce.
Because for 8 months of the year.
Oh yeah, it's quite difficult. It's very mature fruit and ready to harvest. So normally it doesn't drop below zero. For us to keep a track of how the quality is coming out. So Diego is working in that very closely now, and that helps us to have a product that is agrees with what we want to produce.
But I'm really interested in the challenges of the. Did you see any weather changers especially at that elevation? You mentioned the temperature's 6-7 degrees at night. Is it not dropping below zero? And we hear so much about the weather patterns changing. Is it not affecting your area in particular?
Well, normally it doesn't drop below zero. Occasionally it does, and when it does, it's very hard for the trees. It's very difficult for us because that burns the leaves of the trees and burns the cherries. But in this year, the problem has been the rain. It's been raining all year long. Normally we have 4 months without rain, and this year it's been raining all year long. So it's been very difficult because in that weather, every time it rains, flowers come out. So if flowers keep coming out every time in the year, the harvest is going to be very difficult because it's very small quantities of harvest. This year we're having a harvest very small. We won't have a harvest time for how it should be, but we are going to be harvesting coffee, I think, for 6 or 7 months. Because the trees are very irregular, are not very even. They have right now they have flower, green fruit, mature fruit, and are ready to harvest. So it's going to be hard for us. It's going to be hard for the process too. But we're working with small quantities of lots. We can manage it to process the coffee well.
Yeah. So for everyone at home, what that also means is that Pablo needs to have people picking coffee almost all year round, which increases the cost of the coffee. Having people having to pick every day, and it also impacts on the planning. I can imagine, Pablo, knowing how to staff your farm, knowing how many people you need at any one time, not having a harvest period.
I didn't get that last part.
I was just saying it must be difficult not having a harvest time to rely on with all the rain, having to have pickers for 8 months of the year.
Oh yeah, it's quite difficult. It's very difficult, but well, we're kind to getting used to that, and that's what we are trying to produce more nanolots because we have a lot of small harvests and so small and different time lots. So well, we are getting used to that.
So for everyone at home, if you have any questions for us or Pablo or for Graham, please just write them into the chat. So if we can keep you guys for another 5-10 minutes, that'd be great.
Is there anything that you want to say, guys, that is important for everybody listening to know and to understand?
Well, I would like to say that in interesting thing of Obraje is that Obraje is placed in an area that there is no coffee plantations around. It's like an alternative for the people to plant coffee now. As Diego said at the beginning, it was an area that was used to plant wheat, but now is most of the lands are without use, and now that the people have seen that coffee can be an alternative, perhaps it's going to be begin to plant coffee. So within years, maybe Tangwa is going to be an area known for coffee, and it would be helpful for the people to get income because now most of the youth of that area emigrates to the city, and the people that is living there is almost older, over 60, 65 years old, because there's no work offer. So coffee might become one alternative for them, and we're working with that too, not just to produce a good coffee and have that satisfaction, but actually to offer the region an alternative to be economically attractive. So it's nice to have reached this success, I mean, and try to help with this to others in the area.
Pablo, I think it might be interesting for the people to hear is where the name El Obraje comes from.
Oh, cool.
Oh, the name del Obraje is nice. The name comes because the Obraje was a really big farm, and people lived inside the farm, and they have a small area for use for their own benefit. So the people that live inside in the Obraje use that area for their own, and pay like 1 day of work a week for like a rent for that area. So when they went to the Obraje, to the farm, I mean, because at that time wasn't known as the Obraje, to the farm to pay that day of work, they said, I'm going to the Obraje, like meaning I'm going to pay the day of work. So with the time, that word became like in the more used word to say that they were going to the farm, and then the farm became known as the Obraje, and later on all the region became known as the Obraje.
Yeah,
because it was like a kind of labor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it means labor or even craft as well. How long ago was that, Pablo, when the farm was big and people were working and living on the farm?
Oh, I think over 100 years, I guess. The last ones maybe 80 years, but was when the farm was really big, over 100 years.
Yeah.
Just quickly from my side, for everybody that just joined, we are talking to El Obraje, top farm in Nariño, Colombia, 2,200 meters elevation, Cup of Excellence winner. We only have 75 kilos of this coffee, and it only goes to our masterpiece driver. You can sign up for the masterpiece until end of August. I think that's Wednesday. And then we have only 1 day next week, and this coffee only goes to the people that are signing up for the subscription. So I just wanted to highlight that again, because it's one of our top 3 coffees that Gareth here got this year. And we are like extremely grateful first for the connection, for giving us access to this coffee, but also to speaking to you right now.
No, it's been nice talking to you, and thanks for having our coffee, and I like to hear that you like it so much.
Good coffee. Yeah, maybe I'm getting 20 grams from Gareth to brew a V60 here for myself. Let's see, that would be really nice.
Sure, we can make it happen.
Yeah, if there's like no further questions, unless you want to say anything, some final words, Pablo or Bram.
Yeah, I want to say thanks to you guys, Rolf and Garrett and the team over at the barn for supporting the coffee, bringing it to the people. You know, it's a very important part of the supply chain is the roasting and bringing this coffee to the people and highlighting this farm. So thanks a lot for putting in the effort and organizing this live so we get to share Pablo's and Diego's story from Colombia to people all over the world, I guess, who receive this coffee.
Of course, yeah, thank you.
All right.
Get better. Be careful.
Okay, thank you a lot.
All right, guys, let's wrap it up. Okay?
All right,
Okay, thanks again, guys. And
bye. Thank you.
all the best and heal up well, Pablo.
Have a good day. Thank
Okay.
you.
Cheers, bye-bye.
Have a good day too. Bye.
Bye.